Okay, I have tried to introduce myself like three times already. I'll keep it quick this time. Basically, I'm the Cosmic Queer. My name's Fletcher. I am super into spirituality, and I've been consuming a lot of information from all different backgrounds on this stuff. And I think I now know enough that I have stuff that I can share with our Amaru Khan Aboriginal family, and it can help take us to the next place that we need to be. This is especially for people who have already know the history, because I'm not getting into our history in this. I'm just hardcore getting into the practices, but know that all of these different cultures and religions, we have had our hands in all of them, and none of this is not your culture, not your people, not your practice. It is all for you. It is all oneness and truth, and that is for everyone. Okay, so the first thing that I want to touch on. So this video is just going to essentially be a lot of accumulated knowledge on how to, you could say, open your third eye, have a spiritual awakening, achieve much higher consciousness, right? These are all of the ancient techniques and some just stuff I've fallen upon that I have tried myself and that other people are, really backing. Okay, so one big thing that has also gotten popular in America in the last years, but not to, they're just not doing it as well as they should, is Kriya Yoga. So this book is the original Kriya Yoga volume, uh, uh, original Kriya Yoga volume one, step by step guide to salvation, right? So one thing that I will say is that when it comes to Kriya Yoga and all meditative practices, uh, when you're studying this stuff, you do want to have like a decent background. Like you want to read information from more than one person before you hop into something. Because what you will realize once you've consumed enough information is that there is a single truth that rings in all of these different practices. And if you happen upon a practice where you do not find that truth in it, you have to know that that person just, they're not for the people. They don't know what they're doing. So when it comes to Kriya Yoga, there are a lot of books on Kriya Yoga, and a few of them have different techniques. This does not mean that one book is better than the other or one practice is better than the other. You should try all of the practices and see what works for you best. What happens in yoga specifically is people are in they have lineages. So some guy from 2,000 years ago, say he achieves, rainbow body godhood status, right? Everybody that became his disciple is now, a disciple of him. And then the next people are disciples of those people. And that is called their yoga lineage, right? So all of these, while they're all called Kriya Yoga, they all come from different, each book from a different guru comes usually from a different lineage of people. This lineage is Lahiri Mayasa, my Mahasaya. This is a very popular guy, super legit. Lots of his disciples are out doing great work in yoga right now and in teaching people how to further themselves. So, one more little introduction before I start getting into some of my bookmarks in this book is you are going to. Hold on, I've totally lost my place. Okay, so one thing that we must always be aware of when we're reading these books, even if it's said to be from the highest, most godly master on the planet, you have to remember the things that are absolutely true, things that this is a universal truth, and no man, no matter how high, can go against this. One of these things that I always run into is the universal truth of no one tool is evil or good. A person can use that tool to be evil or good, right? So I'll get into this a little bit later, but this is an idea you have to hold on a lot when it comes to things like sex. These yogis and people in different spiritual practices that are trying to achieve enlightenment often talk about sex like it's the enemy. Especially when it comes to men, they say that male sexuality is pretty much based on, the masculine energy is very outward. And you can see this very obviously in men, where your sexual energy is pushed outward and therefore outside of you. This is the reason why a lot of different practices in spirituality and a lot of monks and stuff will give up sex because they do not want to lose their sexual energy, which can be used to further achieve ascension on essentially like a super highway, right? When it comes to women, sexual energy is lost through the orgasm, but not nearly as much as men because the sexual organs are already placed inside of the female body. The ability to take the sexual energy and keep it inside of the body is a little easier for women to do unconsciously, but with doing it consciously, women can get much further ahead and be on that ascension superhighway as well. So I just wanted to lay that out there because uh, this is just an example of like when you learn a universal truth, know that even some of the most high masters are still living in some level of delusion and attachment to their human life. And this means all kinds of stuff. This means learning from Christianity that sex is bad, that, everything. So I say that to say, when it comes to sex specifically, know that there are people, know that you were given all of your body and all of your limbs and all this stuff because it is necessary. There are certainly things that hold you back about your human body, but it is in this body that you are supposed to use everything that you have to achieve the highest, most supreme states, right? So in Qigong and in yoga with Padma Sambhava and Tantra yoga, the practice of sexual energy cultivation is a fully realized practice. So when you read stuff like this book that we're on right now, Original Kriya Yoga Volume 1, this guy will say, once you as a man, if you are a man, once a man has reached a certain point in yoga, he is going to just have to give up sex. And that is the only way that he can start achieving higher states. This is absolutely not true. This is this master being very attached to the idea that you have to suffer, you have to give up things in order to achieve new and higher states. And sure, you have to give up things here and there, but mostly what rings true and what I have come to find in all of these different texts is that it's not always necessarily about giving up something, such as sex. It is about knowing how to properly do the activity in a way that is in tune with the most supreme vibrations of the universe. And there is a way to do that. And like I said, as we'll get into later, you can find those techniques in Montauk Chia's books on sexual energy cultivation, and there are two respective books: Female Energy Sexual Cultivation and Male Energy Sexual Cultivation. And beyond that, there is also what I was saying, Tantra Yoga and the stories of Padma Sambhava, who, with his what they call a consort, which is like super rude, but this equally brilliant woman who was his partner, they did these Tantra and sexual practices together along with meditation. And they pretty much just went in these caves having amazing, super consciousness achieving sex and also did meditations, and this was how this guy achieved higher consciousness and a rainbow body, or what they call, Christ consciousness, God consciousness, Krishna consciousness, depending on, your background. So I didn't mean to start the whole video on that, but I say that to say, because I will be talking about this stuff and I might pass over it sometimes. If you hear something that just vibes so wrong with you or that sounds off, like you have to give up sex for the rest of your life, investigate it first. always know that no matter how much somebody knows, they don't know everything, and they still have attachments to their earthly delusions. Okay, let's hop into the book. Introduction. Uh, at the request of many people, I have written this book on original Kriya Yoga techniques of Lahiri Mayasa. I am not entirely sure whether to act of trying to express such a difficult subject in writing is correct on my part or not. However, after talking to many Kriya practitioners, I came to understand that what is given to them in the name of the original Kriya Yoga of Lahiri Mahasaya. Sorry, I know I'm not saying that right. I'll have to ask my girlfriend later how to pronounce it. It's not Kriya Yoga at all. Many Kriya Bonds have adopted these processes and techniques and practiced them for many years without achieving any results. In some cases, even faithful practice for over 40 years has not yielded any result. The Kriya techniques about which I am going to write are what I have received from my guru, Sri Sri Gayan in Ranatha, or Ryan, sorry, Guy Ind Ranath. Mukhapadliye, my guru received it from his guru, Swami Pranabhanadaji. Swami Pranabhanadaji received this from the revered Lahiri. I have heard that Swami Pranabhanadagiri was the main disciple of Lahira Baba, and I know my guru Sri Sri Gayan Dranath Mukhopadhyay was the main disciple of Swami Pranabhanadaji. This lineage is not affiliated with any organization, which is why Kriya Yoga is preserved in its original and unaltered form to this day. It is very difficult to say what will happen in the future if it falls in the hands of unauthorized, business minded people. Many have unnecessarily modified and complicated the simple techniques of this Kriya Yoga. Okay, so I'm going to pause for a second and just say, as a lot of us know, the yoga of America that we do, which is pretty much strictly forms of hatha yoga, and what we're doing is what they call asanas. And asanas are just like the standing postures of yoga. The way that we do yoga today is it can be beneficial for the body and definitely have some healing effects, but it has absolutely nothing to do with original yoga. Original yoga, yoga itself, the word yoga just means oneness. It is a meditation. So if you think of yoga as anything other than a meditation, you are thinking of it wrong. These asanas and postures that people do in hatha yoga, and they switch, to every all these different positions within an hour or so. Uh, that is not how you're supposed to do it. How the original yoga was supposed to be done with these specific asana positions. The asanas are essentially like a full body mudra. So you put yourself in this position so that you can get the energies from the universe, uh, because when you put yourself into certain positions and put your hands into certain positions, energy runs through your body and energy is attracted to your body in different ways. So when you put yourself in this position, you're supposed to stay in that position for the entirety of your meditation, and then maybe do another 30-minute position in another 30-minute meditation. So this very quick changing from position to position kind of yoga, and not sitting there in meditation for extended periods of time, is absolutely the opposite of what it was ever supposed to be. Okay, so where were we? I took a little break. Okay, so it says, uh, my only aim in writing this book is to present the original essence of Kriya Yoga to you all, but be careful. It is dangerous to practice this by merely reading of a book without getting proper guidance from a guru. Okay, another little pause. Uh, I absolutely you should be getting guidance from people and just sources that have good information, information that you know is true, and people that are helpful. But do not fall into this trap of thinking that you need a guru to achieve this stuff or to go on these journeys. If you start reading the actual ancient books that these guys read, like Patanjali and the Vedas and Mahabharata and all that stuff, while often these people, some of the characters in the book will have run into moments where suddenly a person of great knowledge appears and helps them out, they the it is very obvious in these books that it was never about this guru disciple relationship. It is about your relationship with cosmic love, with the oneness of all, and with the creative vibration that makes all things. It is not about your relationship with some dude that is going to tell you what God said, because that is the entire trap of Christianity and everything else, because you might as well just call this guru a priest. Keep that in mind. Again, these universal truths need to ring true. And the universal truth that we are using here to unlock this is the fact that you don't need nothing, nobody but you to unlock you. If you could not speak, meditation that could achieve the highest of consciousness can be performed with just your mind. You do not need anything, anybody but you to achieve the most high. Okay? That is a universal truth, and always remember that. It will help you unlock other people's delusions within even their own helpful writings. Okay. This is why Guru Mukhi Vida, or a lesson that has to be obtained directly from the mouth of the Guru, you replace that with just the Most High, because a little about me, if I forgot to tell it in the introduction, I am a wannabe shaman. I've had a lot of amazing experiences. I have given other people like experiences. I'm a psychedelic shaman, but I do a lot of work off of psychedelics. I think psychedelics are only a tool, and you need to be a very solid meditation practitioner to do this stuff. But anyways, I will tell you that once you achieve these heightened states, it is not about having some dude there with you. It's about the fact that once you get into these states, entities, the absolute most high, their cosmic forces, they will initiate you. They will tell you this stuff from directly their mouth, not from the mouth of some dude that then tells you what they said. Got me? You can do all of this. And if you're like, oh, but I'm not very practiced, I can't just close my eyes and talk to, entities or God or, go into space and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, you got to try. You got to keep trying. And that is the entire point. That is the true idea of faith, is that you keep up with these practices until suddenly your faith has gotten you to the point where you wake up one day and you're like, oh, damn, I can just astral travel. I can just do all of this stuff. But that's how I like to conceptualize all these things. And once you read enough of this information, you'll understand that that is, in fact, what they're talking about. Okay, so Kriya practitioners who are practicing the initial stages and have not yet entered Shashuma may find some portions of this book difficult to understand. As it is not possible to understand higher mathematics for a primary school student, advanced Kriya techniques will simply not make sense until you've mastered earlier stages. This book is written for both beginners as well as advanced Kriya practitioners. It will help the Kriya practitioner at all stages and can be used as a reference also. I will try to elaborate further in a second edition due to be published in sometime in 2017. Some portions of this book are taken from my short online book, but it is greatly expanded due to include more detail. Okay, so we've done the little intro, and we're going to hop over to my bookmarks. Highly recommend reading this book and and using some of the fantastic practices. Okay, so let me maybe go back a little. Okay. The time of death is the worst time of anyone's life. On one side, one suffers from pain and inability to breathe. And on the other hand, the emotional pain of leaving behind friends, relatives, and all types of relationships. One goes into a dark world where one suffers physically and mentally. My purpose here is not to scare you, but to show you the path to get freedom from all these sufferings which are happening with every birth you take. You yourself don't know how many times you came into this world, be it as a parasite, different form of animal, bird, etc. It could be as many as 8 million births. Lord Sri Krishna said to Arjuna, and this is a reference to the Bhagavad Gita, which is a conversation between Krishna and Arjuna or Arjun. A lot of times in when you're reading something from India and it is spelled ending with an A, you oftentimes, if you're pronouncing it properly, do not pronounce the ending A. So even yoga, properly pronounced, is actually yog. Anyways, you yourself don't know how many births you have taken, but I know. Someone asked the Buddha about his previous births, and he said he remembered his last 500 births, one of which was a rabbit and another as a deer. We must remember that we come into this world with empty hands, and we will leave this world with empty hands. Nobody will share the sufferings of our death. Only our karma, our deeds, will go with us as samkaras, mind impressions, to our next life. So we must be careful not to fall into the trap of maya, binding, and try to do more good deeds in our life. Maya in Hinduism is also often referred to as like delusion, the great delusion. Even if we donate something out of charity, we must be careful that we are not donating to the wrong person. If you give money to an alcoholic with your money and he drinks in a state of intoxication, commits a crime, you will have to share the sin that was done because the donor's money was involved in it. Okay. Hold on. I personally, I'm just gonna skip to my next bookmark, but I personally don't believe that if you unknowingly try to just help somebody out and they go commit a crime, I don't necessarily believe that is attached to you because also within these same books, not this same dude, but in a lot of like ancient stuff I've read from these people, they'll literally be like, "Look, if you're if you are the protector of a people and it's the age old ethics question, but in the form of like if you were a king, like if you could kill one dude and make everything right with these people instead of killing a bunch of people, would you wouldn't kill the one dude?" And in Hinduism it's pretty much said that yes, of course, if you are put in a situation like that, of course you would just kill the one person instead of the many, because there is always you're always going to be put in difficult situations where you have to choose the best way, and inaction is not a pathway to greatness. Inaction is one of the greatest misdoings that you could do, also called sin in some religions. Okay, so here we go. So to achieve these high end states, you'll hear from especially all of like the Eastern people, you really have to be on it with health. The healthier your body is, the healthier your mind will be. So here's a little dive into yama or yam. The first important thing is food. If the food is eaten by sadhaka is not sattvic in nature, then there is no chance of spiritual improvement. Because if the body becomes restless, mind will also become restless. If we eat sugar, we experience the sensation of sweetness. On the other hand, when we eat tamarind, we experience the sensation of sourness. So it is clear that different types of food activate different taste sensations in our body. Likewise, different kinds of food have different qualities and nutritional value. One type of food is rich in vitamin B, and another type may be rich in vitamin C, etc. Similarly, different types of food affect our mind differently. Following examples are following are examples of sattvic food. For the benefit of English readers, it is worth mentioning here that English translations of some of the vegetables are not available. Pointed gourd. Okay, I'm not going to read all of these, but we're pretty much getting on to the idea that, and you can look this up in your own time, that certain foods give put the body into certain states. And with Hinduism, uh, people are vegetarian, and in addition to be vegetarian, eat particular foods based on the type of vibration it causes in their body. So the idea here is that one, uh, all these people believe that eating meat is the absolute most low vibrational food, and in fact is so low vibrational it will hinder your spiritual development. And then and it addition and of course then they believe like fruits vegetables are great, but they don't necessarily mean all fruits and vegetables. They do have guides and charts where they break all of this stuff up. Personally, I'm not here to force you to do anything. I'm just going over the facts and how these people genuinely live their lives and achieve like these heightened states of consciousness and heightened states of health. But yeah, I'm not gonna tell you how to live your life, but this is what it's done. Personally, I am a vegan, but I'm not here to push anything on anybody. But I would say that absolutely, I have noticed that the healthier you are, even if you're fully like vegan already, once you become a healthy vegan, it is so much easier to meditate. It is so much easier to achieve these heightened states of consciousness. The body really is a tool for the mind. So you have to treat your body as like, your little remote control that you click the right buttons and move the right way and suddenly bam, you've unlocked the key. Okay, so another I'll come to like this part ish over here. What we're saying is that uh, one good way to kind of you know get yourself in the way of eating according to the ancient text is to, on top of making sure you're eating sattvic food, is to make sure everything is kind of down the middle. Like you definitely want to enjoy your food, make sure like you're not hating everything, but you don't want to make anything too sweet or in a way where, oh my god, this is so good, I'm addicted to it now, I need it every day, I gotta eat this. None of that. You want stuff to be good and enjoyable, but you don't want to cause such heightened emotions in yourself, which is a thing that these teachings talk about all the time. And it's not heightened emotions in the way of like, oh, don't ever be happy, don't ever be sad. It's do not be consumed by emotion. Most people get consumed by emotion. Even just good tasting food, you can get so consumed by it where now this is the only thing I eat every day. Now I eat this multiple times a day. Like, oh my god, it's been years now. I've gained so much weight. And definitely, you want to enjoy things. You can eat how you want, but you don't want to create these like these states that are unbalanced on either end. So a way that they try to do this is by making sure like you don't anything nothing that's too sweet, nothing that's too sour, nothing too hot or too cold. You get the idea. And once again, this book, Original Kriya Yoga Volume 1, you can download this for free on my website, cosmicqueer.com, under tools and teachings, or you can, get it anywhere you get books. Okay, moving on. Oops, didn't mean to unbookmark. So we're at the Yama. Okay, so discipline. Here, we're getting into the meat. So, Niyama. Every day, Kriya should be practiced at the same time and for the same duration. Woo! If that ain't the hardest part of doing anything, is to do it at the same time, the same duration. Oh, that's why we got so many babies. People can't take the pill at the same time every day. Anyways, definitely a hard thing to do, but we'll all get there together. But hey, same time, same duration. If one day I get some joy in doing Kriya, and that day I do more Kriya, then another day I am not getting any joy out of Kriya, so I do less Kriya. This inconsistent way of practicing will be of no help. Everyday Kriya should be practiced following strict discipline. As time passes, the duration of Kriya practice will increase automatically. The best time to practice Kriya is between 9:30 p.m. and 4:30 a.m., while sleeping for 3 hours in the afternoon after taking lunch. One who practices Kriya during this time experiences many blessings because at that time A lot of realized yogis travel with the astral body, and if they find someone practicing Kriya, they bless them. When your practice duration naturally lengthens, practicing continuously at this time is equivalent to practicing Kriya for 24 hours. Beginners should practice Kriya during early morning and in the evening, 2 to 3 hours before the sunrise and 2 to 3 hours after sunset. The number of pranayamas should be fixed every day during the Kriya practice. For example, if you fix 108 times of pranayam, the same number of pranayams should be practiced every day. If today you are feeling spiritually motivated and practice Kriya for a long time, and another day you feel depressed and practice Kriya for a shorter time, this is not the way Kriya should be practiced. It is generally observed that for those who practice 108 pranayams every day at the same time, upon reaching 70 to 80 pranayams, the mind becomes calm. This is the effect of practicing pranayam at a fixed time with a fixed number of pranayams. Kriya should be practiced without any worry in the mind. Okay, pause. I forgot to mention pranayam or pranayama is uh, the practice of the breath. And we will get into that in a minute of how exactly this pranayam that he's talking about is done. Kriya should be practiced without any worry in the mind. It will help you with rapid progress in the Kriya path. For the fastest development, Kriya should be practiced at least twice a day in the beginning. If it's not possible, once every day is absolutely necessary. If one practices Kriya at the same time every day, he will notice that during that time of the day, the mind will become calm automatically. An advanced state At advanced stages, one can practice Kriya whenever he likes and for any duration because at this stage, the mind and prana are under control of sadhaka. The biggest enemy of Kriya practice is noise. One should practice Kriya in a calm and quiet atmosphere in a dark room. Okay, take a sip of my water really quick. Uh, yeah, I'll have to find some cool music to put under this video. Just want to do a quick shout out to DJ Wolf. I'll help you spell it even. That is the letter D, the letter J, space WOOF. DJ Wolf, my man, the fucking music goat right now. Uh, DJ Wolf is putting out such great stuff of music that is attuned to the proper solfeggio frequencies, but also it's not just your normal boring spa music that you're just putting on for healing, but really like you hate the sound of it. This is all the classics. This is the music you liked, the stuff that you are partying to and love to dance to, new stuff that just sounds great. Futuristic bounce music, all in 432, 528, all of the healing frequencies. And it's just so great because you get to have this music truly help your mind while you can genuinely enjoy it and sing along. I can't say enough about DJ Wolf and how I have used his music even in the background of amazing psychedelic spiritual journeys. Okay. And that was my commercial, totally not paid, but I hope you go find some way to pay him. Good dude. Okay. Note, yama and niyama are the foundations of a yogi. Without maintaining yama and niyama, one cannot succeed in yoga. Okay, asanas. This is what I was talking about. Now let us discuss about asana, posture for sitting in sadhana. There are many varieties, but for Kriya practice, Siddhasan, or Swastikasan is the best and easy. After sitting in asana, one should first inhale fully to expand the chest, then maintain this posture of an expanded chest while doing pranayama. The arms and wrists should be straight out, with the wrists resting on the knees. Posture or asana should be in the state of samakaya sir griba. Sama means the same straight line, kaya means body, sira means head, and griba means shoulders. It means the spine and head should be placed in the same straight line. The chin should come slightly down toward the throat by tilting the head down. Now, it should be practiced to make the body totally still because unless the body becomes totally still, it is not possible to practice the pranayam following the actual procedure. The sitting cushion should be like this. First, the cushion should be made out of kusha grass. Above that, wool Above that, a wool blanket should be placed, and on the top, silk cloth to be placed. Okay, another little pause. So, from my experiences doing this, both as just like a practice that I do in my home, and then having done it at the park to try and get earth energy, because I guess another little sidetrack, take your shoes off and touch your bare feet to the earth whenever you can. You will absorb negative ions and necessary energy from the earth that will help you feel better, be physically healthier, and spiritually healthier. So, uh, when we're talking about yoga, also the original yoga was meant to be done in this way, where you are outside, and then because you are outside, you now are going to be on top of a mat. I guess you didn't have to be on a mat, but so they're outside, and then they have these mats that they layer in a specific way. And this is because with different materials, you again can make energy transfer differently into the body. You can absorb more energy, less energy, make sure you don't get some energies, or make sure you do get some. And that's what they're doing here. And in my experience, I've only been able to get a hold of the wool blanket, but I have sat on the wool blanket at parks and meditated both on and off psychedelics. And let me tell you, you can definitely feel the energy coming into your body at a much higher rate. Alternatively, one can make the sitting cushion with a pure white or plain colored woolen blanket and a good quality silk cloth placed above that. During Kriya, practice should be careful that no part of the body should touch the ground. Otherwise, the ground will absorb the spiritual energy generated out of Kriya practice. This includes keeping the silk on the wool blanket and not touching the ground or floor. During Kriya practice, one should be careful that the Mastak Granthi, it is physically located in the medulla oblongata, and Agna chakra form a line that is parallel to the ground. If during Kriya practice it is noticed that the medulla oblongata has come down and Agna chakra has gone up, it indicates that the mind is not there in Agna chakra but roaming in worldly thoughts. So during Kriya practice, one should be careful that the medulla oblongata and the center of Agna chakra form a straight line parallel to the ground. Now, let us discuss about the principal part of sadhana, that is pranayama. There are two main hindrances in sadhana. One is abaran, a curtain or veil on the spiritual eye, and the other is diversion or deflection. Abar, Abaran covers God in the similar fashion of dark clouds covering the sun. Okay, another pause. So this is something that I'm not going to get super into, but it's something that as you a person studying this kind of stuff and as somebody trying to understand all of this stuff, it for me, I used to avoid this stuff because I was very anti-Christian and all that kind of stuff. Like I grew up close to Christianity, but I wasn't in religion like that. So I always am avoiding the word God and stuff. But as I do my reading now as an older person, the more that you pay attention and really pay attention to all the times that they use God and the way that they use the way God, look for the context clues. Because in most of religion, it is very hard to separate because I think most people don't understand, people, we're all, there is, nothing is settled yet. We're all trying to figure it out. But God is often there are often two separate types of God talked about in these types of texts. The all encompassing, omnipresent, supreme, most high, that is essentially just a force of energy, creator of all things, all universes, all gods, right? Just the creator of all type of God, right? Not necessarily a person or an entity, but just the creative force energy of all. And it is all powerful, right? There is that God. And then, like it is said in all the texts, you are a piece of God and have the same qualities as God and all of that. So then we talk about this God. We'll call it small g, but you're not small. Uh, this God is when people in these texts are literally referring to the God within, aka the third eye, which is your God within, because it is your doorway to your own godhood, to your superpowers, to your super loving, living goodness, having a great life, being one with the universe, one with the multiverse, all the universes, all things everywhere, right? So often in these texts, what can be confusing is the highest beings and entities and teachers do not recognize the force within you, within your spiritual eye, the absolute all encompassing creative force that lives within you is no different than the omnipresence. You have a piece of the omnipresence within, and that piece of the omnipresence within you is the exact same in the universe creating all things. You just have to learn to harness the piece that sits inside your own soul, right? This can be confusing because a lot of different people, it's even said in some books like, I'm your guru, only read books from me. So if you don't go out and take in all of this information, it can be a kind of hard concept uh, of when people refer to God, and if you're looking at context clues, they're all very clearly referring to a different type of God. But in the absolute most high spiritual texts and teachings, God is the creative force within you that is also in all things, everywhere, and is omnipresent. Right? So, this dark cloud over God is your veil over your third eye. And they call it God because, once again, the God within you is no different than the God outside. Because really, there is no outside, there is only within. Anyways, similarly, God is always there in. Or wait, I started a little. Okay, Abaran covers God in the similar fashion of dark clouds covering the sun. The sun is always there, but when dark clouds cover the sun, it looks like there is no sun. Similarly, God is always there in Kutashta, but due to the effect of Abaran, we are not able to perceive him always. So, again, just because of patriarchy and men, of course, God is not only a human being, but a man, and something that can be referred to with pronouns, apparently. But using pronouns, he, him, even she, her, I mean, I do prefer, I love the feminine energy force, but honestly, that isn't correct either. This is a genderless, not even entity, but a force. So don't let words like this trip you out. Like, we are not able to perceive him. You are not trying to perceive a man. They are saying you are not able to perceive the etheric realm because your spiritual eye is turned off. So you literally cannot see, the invisible. Big Shep is where one tries to keep mind on the place where God is, but it gets deflected from there. By practicing pranayama, the following strict discipline of yama and niyama, this abaran, veil on spiritual eye, slowly vanishes and bikshep gets removed. Because of this abaran, when we close our eyes, we see total darkness. The inner sky will glow with more and more light as the veil of abaran vanishes and we reach closer to God. Pause. So, if you are like me, or if you have a kid, that's a little, I don't know what to call him, a little indigo con running around. Um, Me as a child, and I hate this story. I hate to tell this story because I just feel like an idiot. But I was a scared little kid. So I was raised in a very spiritual church. I went to Agape in Culver City in California. I was christened with a rose on my forehead by Reverend Michael uh, Beckwith. I think that's his name. Uh, cool dude. He's like huge now. But if you know the church, you know the people. Like, these are very, like, oh, hello to the aliens in the room. Oh, we're meditating. That's the vibe of this place. Like lots of black people, but I wouldn't call them Christians. Anyways, I grew up in this kind of community, and when I was a kid, I would always, when I closed my eyes at night, I'd be in my dark room alone, close my eyes, and oftentimes I would just immediately open my eyes and look around because there was a bright light just coming from me. Like, and I would always open my eyes and then find that I was still in a room surrounded by darkness. And it just got to the point where I couldn't sleep. Like, I was a kid, I had school, and I was just like, Mom, I can't sleep. There's this bright light coming from my head. And my mom, of course, was awesome, and she was the one who brought me up in this church, so she was kind of familiar with these things. And at the time, that wasn't that was annoying, the bright light, but I also had other things going on where I became like very sensitive to energies, and it felt like I was had like having ghosts, and I started to get scared. Anyways, my mother uh, went and talked to some people at our church, and they were like, and then like of course, because this is just kind of California hippie ass church I grew up in, psychic approaches her in the church one day and was like, hey, is your kid having trouble with like going to sleep and all this stuff? And then basically was like, yeah, uh, your child's father, because my dad died when I was very young, is hanging around and does not want to leave, but to make things easier for the child, what you can do is put up pictures of their father around the house, and then they unconsciously will be able to identify the energetic presence with the picture of the man in the room. And my mom, and I didn't know anything about this as a kid, but my mom ended up doing it. And she says within a week or two, I just stopped. Like, I was so depressed. I was crying all the time about this man I could barely remember. And then very quickly, like, it healed up. And I didn't have that anymore. I went off topic, but anyways, about the bright lights and stuff. I say that to say if your kid is having trouble and has a dead parent or some type of person, you may want to try that. That helped me as a kid. But also, I say that to say kids sometimes, a lot of kids are just born like this. Like, they don't need to meditate. Like, they should meditate because they can go to much higher states and achieve all kinds of stuff. But a lot of kids are just born like this. So you have to listen to your kids when they're talking about that stuff. And what happened to me is I ended up having to, I was getting so freaked out. I My mom said, hey, look, if you don't want your mind open to all this stuff, like, she's like, look, this stuff is real, I understand what you're going through, and if you do not want to have your mind open to all these energies and whatnot, tell yourself, I this is not real, and I'm done. I am not open to these experiences. And I was like, okay. And I did just that. I went in my room and I said, look, I'm scared. I don't believe in you. I do not believe in this stuff anymore. And I am done. And you best believe, surely but slowly but surely, all of those like very creepy, ethereal experiences that I was having started to vanish. I still had like a little, a base instinct of intuition, but as far as like the higher level, like, I know there is something in my room right now, and I'm having these flashes of light so bright I literally can't see. I literally can't tell if the light is a light that's on in my room, kind of stuff. That cleared up in about 2 weeks. And of course, here I am now trying to get the light back. But, it can be rough when you're a kid and you're surrounded by people that don't know what's going on, or you have a parent that does know what's going on, but they know they're raising you in a world of people that will not be able to help. Anyways, I say that to say, if you run into something horrible, just say, or know that you can shut all of this stuff off. It is all on you what type of life and what level of awareness that you want to have. Okay, hope I'm not boring you. And I hope anybody watches this video. If you are, leave me a comment. I'm so happy to be doing something like this. I've wanted to make videos like this for a while. And, I'm at home on my day off right now, 11 a.m. I could be watching dumbass movies, but I'm here with y'all and I feel good. Oh yeah. So, by practicing pranayama and following strict discipline of yama and niyama, this aberron, view on the spiritual eye, slowly vanishes and bikshep gets removed. Because of this aberron, when we close our eyes, we see total darkness. The inner sky will glow with more and more light as the veil of aberron vanishes and we reach closer to God. To defeat this aberron and bikshep is the most important stage of sadhana. Oh yeah. Okay, cool. Now we're really getting into it. Okay. Though there are many varieties of pranayam, the natural pranayam, which one gets from birth, sahaja pranayam, is the best pranayam. This pranayam was given by Lord Sri Krishna. Uh, in Hinduism, Krishna is very similar to Jesus. And even, as I said earlier, the way that people like Christians that are more into spirituality are trying to achieve Christ consciousness. Often it's called Krishna consciousness here, but Krishna is just a realized master. Krishna is not the quote unquote omnipresent God. Oh yeah, Krishna to his dearest disciple Arjun in this pranayam in the beginning. Pranabab means to remember at every chakra the mantra Om and should be done with natural inhalation and exhalation. This means mentally chanting Om 6 times on the natural in breath and mentally chanting Om 6 times again on the natural out breath. Okay, pause. So, this is our first solid practice that we have come upon in this video, and I have done this practice, so I want to tell you the easiest way to do it. As as the Amaru Khan people, we are very musical and we've got rhythm. So I have come upon just the truth that with doing these kinds of things where you're having to count 6 times, it is easiest unless you just got a great little brain on you. The easiest way to do uh, something like meditation like this is to do it with rhythm instead of counting. Instead of counting do it with a rhythm so that you always know, and you're just waiting for essentially the beat to drop, and then you know you can start again. So you're like that beat you will be able to get in your head and memorize a little easier than every time trying to count ohm one, ohm two, ohm three. You got me? So it's and then you can just do that with every inhale and exhale on each of your chakras. Uh, Mind and inner vision should be fixed at Kutashta, which means the center point of Agna chakra. Agna chakra is located in the at the point between the eyebrows. This is again your third eye. This is just the Hindu terminology for that chakra. In the beginning, it is very difficult to locate the center point of Agna chakra or Kutashta, which is why focus should be kept at the center of the eyebrows and attention should be kept at the center of any figures or shapes that appear there. In the inner vision, this is all with the eyes closed. The center of Agna chakra is aligned slash connected with the center of all the other 5 chakras. That's how we navigate all 6 chakras while focusing only on the center of Agna chakra. This should be practiced without straining the eyes, and eventually vision will be automatically fixed at the center point. Mind should not get diverted from this point. The tendency of mind will be to get diverted, but again and again, it should be pulled back and fixed at the point between the eyebrows. Again, and I'm just gonna comment that this is not, they're not saying that for a couple, like, oh, your first 3 minutes, you're going to have thoughts and just push them away. And then minute 4, you'll be in deep meditation and you'll be traveling space. No, like you might be pushing away thoughts your entire meditation. Do not let that hold you back. You are still doing it right. The point is to, whenever you are having a thought or you end up getting, your mind travels, be aware, be aware, okay, my mind is travel. I am in a thought. Wrap that thought up and come back to the center where you're focusing on your third eye and just letting go of everything. And just try to focus back at your third eye and on the breath. And with this, mind and prana will move together at the point between the eyebrows. This is described by my revered Guruji as keeping the mind with prana or life force. This is the kriya of six chakras. In the beginning, no force should be applied on the breathing. In the beginning, the nadis slash veins in the body remain blocked with bile, mucus, and air. If force is applied in this condition, it may create disease. It will also hamper the spiritual advancement. In the beginning, as the nadis are cleaned, they simultaneously become filled with prana. When they are fully cleaned, the body will become filled with prana. In this way, the eternal light will increase and you will be able to see the past, present, and future. Like this, pranayama should be practiced day after day, month after month, year after year. One should not lose patience. That is why Thakur Ramakrishna said, Thakur literally means God or godly person. One who keeps with patience survives, but the one who loses patience gets destroyed. After practicing pranayama for a long time like this, pranayama eventually becomes subtle and then extremely subtle. One day, mind will surely become fixed at the point between the eyebrows without deflection. But until that time, one should go on practicing Kriya in this way. When the mind becomes stable at the point between the eyebrows, the breathing will become extremely subtle. This is when the force should be applied on the breathing during Kriya Pranayama. At that time, an overwhelming joy will fill the mind, and the feeling will come that I have never experienced such a joy. Kriya should be practiced in this way until the lower part of the kutastha is crossed. Once the mind goes above Agna chakra, the kriya of six chakras ends. Then the mind and life force become stable, and by an unknown force or grace of God, the kutastha is pierced in the mind, and the life force rises to sasrasar. Okay, I'm sure I butchered that. Again, not trying to be mean to anybody. I just legitimately only speak English. Okay. The same time is being hinted at in the Bible by Jesus Christ. Ask and it will be given to you. Seek and you will find. Knock and the door will be open to you. Matthew 7:7. Here, Jesus is not talking about a wooden door. It is the door of Kutastha. With Kriya Pranayam, the sadhaka every day knocks at the center door of the six chakras and opens them up one by one and reaches the center of Agna Chakra. The center of Agna Chakra or Kutastha can be opened with the kripa, blessings of God only. He sees that the sadhaka has reached near to him, so he opens the door of Agna Chakra and brings the sadhaka to Sahasrasar. Before piercing Kutastha, the sadhaka keeps his focus on the east side of the body, and after piercing Kutastha, he keeps his focus on the west side of the body. The front of the body is the east, the back is the west. After practicing Kriya pranayams and mudras, Jyoti mudra and Maha mudra, one should not immediately get up. One should sit for some time focusing at the Kustastra and fixing the mind there. This is called Parabhasta, or the Kriya of Pratyahara, or Kriya for withdrawing from the outer senses. This is meditation. During any part of Kriya practice, when one feels the divine intoxication or ecstasy, no Kriya should be practiced. When the mind becomes fixed at Kutastha, one will be fixed with divine intoxication. One forgets himself in this condition and feels that he slash she was in a state of total bliss, but unable to remember that state exactly. He slash she will not feel any desire to open the eyes, feels difficulty in talking, and doesn't want to hear anything. He or she does not feel hungry or thirsty, while walking two steps will be the proper due to the state of divine intoxication. After this stage, dharana or dhyana and samadhi kriya can be perceived automatically as sahas rasar. Okay, I'm gonna pause for a second here. Okay, so this is mostly where I'm going to stop reading this particular book and move into a different one. Uh, so my last comment on this book is pretty much what we went over with the pranayama, where you do the Om 6 times in and out on the chakras. This is a great meditation. Absolutely recommend doing this on your own. It is pretty straightforward, as you can read in this book and as you've heard from me. And definitely go over it again if you don't, fully understand. Read it, get the book for free, all that good stuff. And when we get into the mudras and stuff, like he says, Maha Mudra and Jyoti Mudra, um, I definitely recommend doing these mudras, and I recommend. So what I'll say from my own experience is that the meditation part, the pranayama, is great, and I was easily able to do that on my own. But having tried to do the mudras has been more difficult because they seem to be more of like a full body type of thing, more asan like. And have I looked it up and I was trying to do the practice for a while, but then after looking it up again, I saw that people were doing this in a much different and much more involved way than I was. So it was hard for me to know if I was doing the right doing Mahamudra and all these other things properly, because with Kriya Yoga specifically, uh these people are very like they're they write their books and stuff, but they're still a very secretive people. So while he is telling you, Mahamudra, this, that, and the other, you can clearly see he didn't include like any pictures or tell you about a YouTube video to go look at it, because they are still very much about this idea of you need to come to the guru. So oftentimes they will leave out very pertinent information so that you go find a guru. And plenty of the gurus are nice people and stuff, but their own books will tell them that you need nobody but yourself, and to put all of your faith in a man is ridiculous. Okay, so I say that to say, if you want to practice the mudras and stuff, I really, really, really highly recommend watching as much information as you can about that, watching 1,000 different people do that, and make sure you're doing it the right way. And if you have access to somebody that is a practitioner of Kriya Yoga, then you know what? I would highly recommend just hitting them up, and they don't have to be your guru, but just ask them like, "Hey, I am trying to do Mahamudra at the part of my practice. Could you just show me how your lineage does it?" And it's as easy as that. So I'm going to get into another book of some great information. So we've got one great practice here, this great pranayama. And through pranayama, you'll obviously know that all different types of breathing techniques are great and so good for you. But this is just one of them. Okay, so I'm back on Patanjali, demystifying Patanjali, the Yoga Sutras. I want to touch on a couple parts of this, but also I forgot to say in reading the last part, because I guess I didn't click on the page where this is said in the Kriya Yoga book. But they specifically say in Kriya Yoga, if it is uncomfortable for you to sit in a certain position, then just don't do it. It's 100 times more helpful to your progress to be absolutely comfortable and relaxed, as opposed to be hurting your limbs while you're supposed to be in meditation. They literally say that in the book. So please don't go bending and cracking your limbs in every which way and actually hurting your body. Absolutely not necessary. Okay, so here I'm going to touch on some stuff that is really just backing up everything we said before and showing you. how to open those chakras in that third eye up according to the most ancient practices. The last book was published, I think, sometime in 2017, but that guy comes from a very long lineage from Lahiri Mayasa. And then this is a translation and commentary on Patanjali, which is a very ancient book of Yoga Sutras. Okay, so in this book, I read this whole thing without really bookmarking it that well. So I tried to do some bookmarks so I could do this video. But really, if you like what you're hearing, read the book. Absolutely read the book. Amazing stuff in this book. And the more ancient you get with the information, the more magical and just great this stuff is to read. It just reads like an amazing sci-fi novel, but it's like one that you can, participate in. Okay, so one thing that I did read in here that I forgot to bookmark that I think is important and something that you should think about is that they say that at the time of death, if one at the time of death is to focus on the third eye, close your eyes and go into meditation as you're supposed to, like the normal meditation of, you imagine. Okay, I guess I'll say this whole part since this is in here too, but I don't have it bookmarked. In this book, it is explained the easiest ways to start meditation, just a normal basic meditation, is to sit in a comfortable position, and like the last book was saying, make sure your spine is lined up properly. And a good way to start clearing your mind is to imagine that you are in space. This is not me saying this is the book. And I didn't used to do this part until recently, and I've actually found that it helps so much with getting into that genuine meditative state so much quicker. To just imagine that you were just sitting in the middle of space and then focus on your third eye, and then from there do your breath. For me, I do the Hong Sa meditation, so I will do those chants in my head, but you can also just focus on the breath. And the whole, yeah. So basically, one, relax your body. Two, imagine you're in the middle of space. Three, focus on your third eye. Inhale and just keep shooing away any thoughts and start building your ability to concentrate, right? So it is said in this book that if you focus your attention at the third eye upon the moment of death, you will essentially be I don't know what the right word for it is. I guess Christians would say saved, but it's very clearly not that idea of Jesus and all that. But the idea that your soul is saved because uh, in reincarnation, the idea of why you would want to, the whole reason of why in all these different practices that you would want to achieve super consciousness is not just so you can go flying around like Superman. It's because the nature of reincarnation, which, if you look into every religion, all of them actually do believe in this, and even Christianity. It's just not taught in Christianity, but you will find it in their books. Uh, in reincarnation, it is taught that, this human life of the birth and death cycle and returning again and dying again is absolutely miserable. And this is called like the great suffering. And the only way to escape the cycle of life and death and escape the great suffering of humanity is to achieve super consciousness, which will make you immortal and uh, essentially, you will become a fully realized entity that no longer has to be trapped in essentially this school, this very miserable school of learning how to be a higher consciousness being who is, worthy of greater things. So, it is said that upon the moment of death, you focus your energy at the seat of the soul, the third eye, you will immediately be taken out of the cycle of life and death, because I guess you will have essentially proven that you totally believe, and you were right on your way there, and you know exactly where you were going. I'm sure maybe you have to do some other stuff, but that's what the book said. It straight up says, always beat these ideas into yourself, essentially, so that even upon the moment of death, that is what you are thinking about, and you will save yourself, so to say. um, okay, so okay. Okay, so Kindle is just straight fucking with me, and they won't even let me, like, I tried to open up a different bookmark on the Patanjali book, and I they literally will not let me open this book up with like the camera. I don't know what's up. It's being ridiculous. But so I'll just kind of try to go over really quick, since this video is already an hour long, of the different things. I was getting real deep into explaining things, but it's fine. Anyway, so basically, we have gone over uh, pranayama, the most basic and fruitful meditation technique of, focusing your energy on the third eye, doing your breathing techniques, doing your om on the chakras. That was our first technique. Our second thing that we talked about is the idea, or I went on to like a little of the Patanjali and the idea of you need to kind of beat this idea into your mind, and you at all times you can focus on the third eye to achieve whatever it is you need to achieve. In the Patanjali book, one of the things that I was going to touch on is this great story, like essentially the Hindu deconstruction of the story of the three wise men. And we know that, and as you know, I'm using a lot of these older Hindu and books from India, because uh, Hinduism is the absolute oldest religion that we know of and have all the text of today. But also, while people will say the whole conspiracy right now is that a lot of the Hindus, like there was this Hindu Aryan connection, and the Aryan slash white people are essentially um, the reason, not the reason, but they share this culture and history, and this is as much theirs as the Indian people, is what they're arguing, because of like the Aryan presence, right? But recent knowledge and the people of India themselves have already figured out and will tell you that there was no Indo-Aryan connection. This was always a racist ploy to start, insert themselves into history yet again. The connection was Indo-Mayan. The Mayans actually became the Hindu Indian people, and all of the original text of the Vedic societies and Hinduism, those texts were actually created by the Mayan civilization before they traveled to India. And we know the Americas where the Mayans were, are the oldest land, so we know that is how the migration happened. So all descendants of the Maya have claim to all of Eastern spirituality. So, anyways, I was going to talk about the three wise men. So, in the Hindu deconstruction of the three wise men, basically what they're saying is that, as we know, the Bible is very much a riddle, but oftentimes people, because they don't have enough education, and not to any fault of their own, they don't understand how deep the riddle is. So in demystifying Patanjali, what I was going to pull up was where they talk about the three wise men, and say the three wise men essentially were, the story is, the story as it's told, but then as it's supposed to be, the riddle deconstructed is the fact that these three guys were lost. They needed to get somewhere, but they did not know where to go. They had no information on knowing how to get to this place. All they had was the star shining in the east. They follow the star shining in the east, and they happen upon baby Jesus, right? Or Christ, or Christ consciousness, God consciousness, supreme super consciousness, right? So let's take this a step back again. Three men did not know where to go. They needed to get somewhere, they needed something. So they follow the shining star in the east. We just read in the book of Kriya Yoga, the east refers to the front part of the body. But also, getting a little deeper, the east also refers to the front of the forehead, meaning your third eye. So, this eastern star is the light of your own third eye. They did not know where to go, were sitting in the darkness, followed the light, and fell upon supreme super consciousness. So, this story is literally a very riddled story of how all you need is your consciousness to do anything. As long as you are conscious, you have the ability to do all. You can get anywhere. And your third eye will guide you through the night, and you will land exactly where you need to go. The frankincense and myrrh, these are two great fragrances to help you achieve meditative states. This is really just a very riddled story, again telling you, look, this third eye, these chakras, this is what you need to be focusing on. This is the only technology you need. Fuck a GPS when you've got a light in your head. You feel me? Oh yeah. So this book that I have right now, Taoist Secrets of Love and Cultivating. Oh, hold on. And one more thing about Patanjali that I was going to touch on. Something very cool in the book, the yamas. Once you get to a very high point of, meditation competence, you can do these amazing things that they list in the book. And this is stuff where they tell you that if you focus on the center of everything, or the center of any one thing during a meditation, that you will absorb the knowledge of all things related to that subject matter. So, an example would be, and these are examples that they specifically give in the book. An example would be, I, basically, so yeah, I'm meditating. I want to know about the body. So if you want to absorb all of the information of the human body, of the physical condition of the human, what you would do is during meditation, focus or do your yama on the belly button. And once you are proficient enough and reach that heightened state, you will eventually just like that have a knowing, understand everything that there is to know about the human body because of this yama on the center of the human body. I'm not sure if the belly button is actually the center, but this is what they tell you. And they also tell you that this goes for other things as well, like when so they'll say if you want to learn about the solar system, focus on the sun. You want to learn about, and so on. You understand the idea. And if you want to know more about that, it is in Demystifying Patanjali, great book. But that guy again is also kind of living in his own delusions. So not that he's not like a smart and very great meditator and all that stuff, but once again he is very anti-sex and he is very anti-drug. So this is another thing that needs to be talked about. Is that this guy in the Patanjali book, he's literally like he doesn't realize it, but he's like having an argument with himself almost because he's very dedicated to all this work, but he grew up Christian, and in his Christianness, he still kind of tends to treat spirituality as Christianity. So he will. There's this one point where Patanjali, and Patanjali is the name of like an ancient realized master, like one of the greatest of great, right? And he's reading from Patanjali, and Patanjali is like, certain spiritual powers and heightened states of consciousness can be achieved through certain rituals, herbs, and other practices. It might say meditations or something. And oh my god, this guy, He stops the book. He's like, hold up. We need to talk about this. I don't know. He must have meant, Patanjali must have meant something else because I cannot wrap my head around the fact that anybody could do a drug and feel closer to God or achieve any type of heightened state. And we, of course, aren't talking about cocaine and heroin here, people. We're talking about, the mana. We're talking about the spiritual food, the psychedelics. And even then, obviously, of course, people can take psychedelics and not. I'll tell you just from my own being a psychedelic shaman that there are plenty of people that can take literally the highest amount of psychedelics and they will have a fun time and they will see some swirly lines and colors, but they are not having the true spiritual experience. Certainly an experience like that might open their minds and they might be like, oh, okay, like, nature is cool and all that kind of stuff. But it is absolutely possible to take psychedelic substances and not have a spiritual experience because it is not just about the drug. It is about your state of mind. It is about you as a spiritual being. It is about what you have done to achieve this state. Are you just taking a drug, or do you also do true yoga in your spare time and meditate and do qigong and practice sexual energy cultivation? Because if these are things you do and you understand the oneness of all, then you can just take some mushrooms and shit, you might immediately on 1 gram see an entity that's like, hey man, I've been waiting to talk to you. But that is not the case for everybody. And in fact, a lot of my work in this lifetime is about trying to help people understand that all of these practices were never meant to be separate. They were always meant to be one. The oneness of all prevails in all things. If Patanjali, the most ancient of masters, is telling you that both drugs and sex and meditation can be used to achieve these states, and he is saying that these are not evil things because no tool can be evil. It is only the way in which these tools are used that can be evil. Then you have to understand that while you might be able to look at a crowd of 2 billion people and see that not one of them are doing this thing properly, that does not mean that it cannot be done properly. And in fact, if you are to do it properly and incorporate these practices instead of denying everything because of this mindset of Christianity that everything must be suffering and pain, you will achieve these states and achieve the most high supreme gifts much faster, so much faster. I'm talking do get on psychedelics, meditate while you're on psychedelics, fucking while you're inside of a pyramid, have sex inside of a pyramid on psychedelics, and make sure you're focusing on your third eye. Push all of these things into one as much as you can, and you will understand you this is what you are supposed to do. This is how you do this. These things are separate on purpose because separated, they will take sometimes lifetimes to achieve these things. Remember the oneness of all, and that will take you to the highest truth every time. And I sound like I am joking, but I don't have enough time to talk about it in this video. But on my website, Cosmic Queer with a K, that is KOSMIC, queer.com, you can read all of my psychedelic and spiritual adventures under the tab that says Trip Reports. Uh, and once again, I am not saying that psychedelics and stuff are the only way that you get to this state. I, in fact, am a huge backer of taking giant breaks from this stuff. But just like the ancients say, and just like I'm telling you from experience, you can knock these doorways open in a way that seems impossible if you are not using all of the tools available. You cannot always look at tools as temptation. This is actually a thing that can start driving you into psychosis if you think every useful thing that pops up into your life is a temptation. You have to try things sometimes and see what works. I remember seeing David Wilcock, like, oh my god, I love David Wilcock stuff. Like, not to be crazy that I do think somebody killed him. I don't think that David Wilcock of today is the man of before. Not to be crazy, but I think all of David Wilcock's stuff from Wisdom Teachings, his first, like, I don't know, he had like 20 seasons. Such great stuff. Love this guy, right? But I know that, a man is just a man, and especially a white man is just a man. So he had this part one day where he's talking, and he was like, he's talking about pyramids and like all this great energy and all this stuff. And I love pyramids. If you don't know, now you know. Even a plastic pyramid, with as long as it's made with either all metal or no metal, the what is it? I forget what degree. 45. Damn, I used to know what degree angle it was. But the pyramid built as the Nubian pyramid, the Nubians, or how the Russians are trying to take credit for it right now, they'll call it the Russian pyramid. It is the Nubian Russian shaped pyramid made out of all metal or no metal. This pyramid structure will bring in great energy, amazing spiritual energy that will super speed your consciousness. And you can meditate inside of these things. Like people sell them. I got mine made out of PVC for a couple $100, right? Obviously, it can seem total scam. I had this plastic ass pyramid in my house, right? Anyways, I got the pyramid because of David Wilcock and his amazing pyramid science series. I think it was 4 different episodes, hard science, right? Great stuff on torsion fields and stuff. So at the end or during one of these videos, he specifically says, and I noticed that this was kind of weird because I love this guy, love everything he says, but you always have to remember people are fucking people, right? So he says, oh, I've heard that if you do acid in one of these things, you won't even like it'll totally just take away your high. Like, people have walked up to these pyramid structures while they're on psychedelics, and suddenly they're like, "Oh, damn, that ruined my high. I can't even be high anymore right now, man." And they hate it, right? So he was like, "Yeah, so just don't do acid next to one of these pyramids." Me being me was immediately like, shit, I got acid, I got tabs on tabs right now. Let's do some fucking acid. But because I love it. Again, you'll read my journeys, you'll understand. I won't get too into it. But so me having done crazy amazing things during acid already and having intuition, I was like, I don't know, David, I'm gonna try and call your bluff. I bought my pyramid, I get my girlfriend, we do acid in this pyramid, right? Let me tell you, I have never had such a awakening moment in my fucking life. This is magic. Like this is high level magic shit. Like literally I explained this deeper in my journeys online, but I literally did normal acid and I was already having very high level experiences, but once I got in the pyramid, so I'm looking at my girlfriend. I'm clearly on acid, like things are a little, how acid and psychedelics are. But it was just like a normal thing. But then I get in the pyramid and I'm meditating. I am suddenly I'm weightless. I'm weightless and I'm in infinite, absolutely infinite space. I feel energy circulating me like none else. The energy is so intense. I actually open my eyes to look outside of this plastic ass ain't nothing but plastic, this PVC fucking pyramid. And literally in front of me, it looks like there is a vortex. Like I can literally see the vortex that is like right outside. Like there's me inside of the pyramid, and then the outside where I'm looking at my girlfriend, you can see like a thickness, like water. The difference between me inside and her outside, like there is this vortex of energy separating us. And I push my hand outside of it, and I can feel the difference. Like it is it's amazing. And that's not even the height of it. I sit back down, I meditate some more, I open my eyes, I watch this woman turn into a reptile being. Like, and not even necessarily in a scary way. It was just spooky in the sense that I hadn't had such high level, full sensory experiences like that until that moment. Like I was definitely having high level experiences, but there's something about the pyramid where you meditate in this pyramid, and I am telling you, you could achieve super consciousness probably 100 times faster than these people that think sex and drugs are the antichrist. I certainly haven't. I've achieved cool things. I haven't achieved. I'm busy with a normal life like everybody else. So there's only so much of this stuff I can do sometimes. But I have realized now that this is the only thing, and this is what I'm dedicating my life to, and I'm trying to get to a point where I can share these things with other people in groups and whatnot. But I am telling you, you got $100 and you're a little woo woo spiritual like me, go get you a pyramid, okay? A pyramid. I forget. I think I got mine on eBay. I'll drop a link if I can. So sorry to go on such a tangent. So we're on Taoist. Sorry, Taoist Secrets of Love. Yeah, they'll always clown you if you say Taoist, even though it's written with the T, because I don't know, we're all just idiots that like to clown each other. Uh, so, Secrets of Love, cultivating male sexual energy. Okay, so I have male sexual energy up, but just remember, this is the fucking cosmic queer podcast. I'm a whole gay. In fact, I'm non-binary. I go by they them pronouns. If you're just some random straight person watching this, don't worry about it. I'm not going to get on your ass over it. You don't have to address me. You're just watching a video. But I just I say that all to say that a lot of spirituality and stuff is very male focused, and I am not trying to be male focused. Although I know I sound and look just like any fucking man. I'm starting on male energy sexual cultivation because it's this is more. There's absolutely women can do this, but like I was saying, it is more detrimental for men losing their sexual energy. And I, of course, did not. Bookmark this in the way that I wanted to because I was expecting to read from my Kindle books that I bookmarked, but I can just go over this with you. So here's the table of contents since I'm not going to go over it. So for men, this book this should be your sex bible, right? Like if you're truly into this stuff and you really are trying to cultivate that energy and you're like, I want to achieve the absolute most high consciousness but I do not want to give up sex, this is your book right here. This teaches you everything about your body on a spiritual level, and it's through this is a Montauk Shia book, by the way. And these practitioners of Qigong in Asia, you see, like these people are literally like PhDs. Oftentimes, they are genuine medical doctors as well. So the difference between ancient Eastern spiritual practices and these random American ones that come from some woman that didn't comb her hair on TikTok, it's very different. Like these people know anatomy, they know science. That this is good stuff. Hey, like I said, I didn't bookmark the great parts, but you can see through here, chapter one, we have male energy, male sex energy is stored in its seed, the extraordinary power of the sexual elixir. Why has the spiritual power of sex been kept a secret? Why reveal the secret now? Because now is the time, baby. The people have come and we are ready. What is chi energy? Chi, electricity of the human body. How does qing or sexual essence function in humans? Major phases of chi energy. Difference between hunger and sexual desire, right? Um, so this one is very male centered. The book on women is very similar, but obviously not about male anatomy. So the female version is once again this same title, but with cultivating female energy. So absolutely get that book, amazing book. And I will just explain to you the female side really quick because women's bodies are already kind of set up in a way to perform this. So this is it's easier to just explain it. So with women, essentially, you let's say you're doing kind of a solo practice. If you get my drift, you're alone in bed and not with a partner, right? So if you're doing this by yourself, or really even with a partner, what you're trying to do is get yourself turned on, right? You feel that energy, you being turned on in a heightened sexual state where it feels good and everything is really just great. That is amazing, powerful prana. So you once you have gotten to the point where you're almost, you're at the point maybe like right before you're going to orgasm, not in a state where you get yourself where you're just like, oh, you don't want to feel uncomfortable, but you want to really really build the sexual energy, right? And once the sexual energy is built and the body is fully relaxed, what a woman or a female body would do is to what you want to do is almost do a Kegel motion, and this will be like a normal Kegel that's coming straight up into like the vagina region, right? So you would do a Kegel where during this Kegel you are imagining and you are kind of scooping all the energy up from the base, which right there is your root chakra. You're sucking the energy up, and then from there you want to clench after the energy is in you, like you've pulled the energy up and you've taken a deep inhalation. On the exhale, what you're going to do is clench the butt cheeks together to shoot that energy then uh, from your front pelvic region back toward your butt and then to the seat of the soul, uh, on where they, I forget what the other name is, but like essentially right at the base of your spine. You want to then pull that energy back to the base of your spine and then up your spine into the crown chakra. And doing this in a way where you keep circulating that energy up, from down, up and around, and back up and around, and you're pulling that energy up, circulating it, and pulling in more energy from the universe, and you're just continuing to build this energy and build this energy from the initial seed of sexual energy that you started within yourself. So once again, you build sexual energy. Kegel, essentially, the sexual energy up inside of you, hold it, and make sure you are relaxed with the inhalation. And on the exhalation, you are uh, you're gonna clench your butt cheeks, sending the energy back toward the base of the spine, and then from the base, the energy will travel up the spine to the crown chakra, back down and around, dispersed over the body, and then you will do it again. When you are releasing this energy, do not imagine the energy being released from the head out into the world, but from the head around down the body, past the ears, down the neck, around the shoulders, to the feet, and up back again into the pelvic region where you will do the practice again. That is how you start pulling your sexual energy into yourself to cultivate super consciousness instead of releasing it back into the world or letting the person, your sexual partner, take hold of that sexual energy, right? Okay, so with men, because of men's biology, it is a very, very, very similar practice, but different just based on the method of ejaculation and the bodily organisms. uh, once again did not bookmark this, so I'm not going to be able to find it here. But you can look over these titles and stuff while I'm saying this. With men, men do not do this practice based on what I am telling you. I am giving you a very basic overview so that you may get this book yourself and practice it based on the masters, who have written this stuff out. I'm giving you just a basic overview to tell you what the practice is. So for men, very, very similar practice, right? Except for there's also something, I think it's in like this chapter over here in chapter 6, where with men, it is said in the most ancient high human beings, ejaculation was never supposed to be the process that it is today. It was supposed to be much more streamlined, essentially. Essentially, the, I guess, highest form of like I guess like a fully realized human being, right, who is having sex in their male body should be able to essentially do the same thing of pulling the energy into the self, right? But there's this extra practice where it is said that men, when they ejaculate like there's so much semen, essentially, right? Like even if they're just like there's so much. Uh, and this apparently is not supposed to be the way things are done because a child can be conceived with a single sperm. And this is in all the ancient texts. And they say that, in fact, a child is supposed to be conceived with a single sperm because the the amount of semen is essentially this like the semen is essentially a physical representation of the sexual energy lost for men during the sexual act, right? And to rectify this, the practice that has been developed for men, in addition to doing the normal kind of like Kegel and pulling the energy in situation, is there's also a practice of putting your fingers on a particular spot on your gooch somewhere in there. And as a man is ejaculating, having practiced this type of meditation and also this specific practice of pressing this spot on the body, the man will be able to start teaching himself how to have a like full orgasm, like an internal orgasm that is not releasing so much semen. And I don't personally know of anybody that has done this kind of thing, but from very like realized masters and stuff, they say this is the only way. This is like a very like it can be a difficult thing to learn how to do, but it is absolutely possible, and that men that are doing this are much happier and have so much more energy and are able to achieve these heightened states easier because when they do have sex, not only are they using sex to that sexual energy to create even more spiritual energy within themselves, they also aren't losing heaps of energy because of the lossage of semen, which does equate to a loss of spiritual energy. So these realized masters, and in this book, what they are teaching men is that uh, you do this process of cultivating the energy through like sucking it in and pushing it up your spine and all that kind of stuff. But then you also will take your fingers under a certain point under your testes, learn how to come without, really releasing anything. And then from there, you will with meditation and practice learn how to during sex only release a single semen at a time and use that single living semen to impregnate a woman or to just call it off and be like, I just want to have normal sex right now without impregnating somebody. And you should be able to control all those faculties of your body. So essentially, for men, the sexual energy cultivation is the act of not losing so much semen when you have sex, and then learning how to use the retained energy to achieve higher consciousness, right? Okay, so that was a lot, but I think it is of the utmost importance for people, especially that have um, sexual issues with like this kind of stuff. Like if you have any type of issues with sex or maintaining attention and being uh, I don't even know what words to use because I'm not even just talking about erections or anything. But like any type of sexual issues, this stuff will help a lot. Like if you have performance anxiety, male or female or whatever, all of these things are very good and will help you achieve, you know, better, bigger orgasms as well as super consciousness. So I say all of that to say, do not write off sex in your journey to the absolute most high supreme, right? Okay, so now I have one last little thing that I want to touch on during this video that actually interested me in making a video like this in the first place. Okay, so I'm gonna play this guy's video. I didn't originally hear of this concept from this dude, but I think he wraps it up pretty. He talks about it pretty well, and I think this is just another really helpful, necessary tool. So, just to go over it again, our tools are the proper yogic meditations, one, and then two, cultivating our sexual energy, three, properly attuned music to solfeggio frequencies. I mostly did that as just like a shout out to DJ Wolf, but that is huge on this journey. Like every time you listen to something like not to scare anybody or anything, but every time you listen to anything that's not properly attuned, it is having a negative spiritual effect on you and like your psyche, your super consciousness, your ability to have intuition and all that kind of stuff. This isn't to say run every time you hear a Rihanna song, but it is to say that anytime that you can incorporate properly attuned music, you are absolutely helping yourself in your journeys. So this you want proper meditation, sexual energy cultivation, properly attuned music, and good vibes all around, right? And then damn, I forgot to put it in this book, but maybe I'll do a whole separate video on it. But you want mantras, you want to be chanting, doing the proper bija mantra chants. The bija mantras are essentially the only mantras you should focus on unless they're your own mantra of writing essentially like your own like prayer type of situation where you're like, I really need this new table. Come on, Most High Supreme, show me what's the way to achieve this goal kind of stuff. That's the only time that you want to be doing any type of mantra that is not a bija mantra or a seed sound. The bija mantras and seed sounds are the mantras and sounds that they are strictly all about what the vibration provides you. They are not about what this means. Like if somebody translate like if you are like somebody's like here's a mantra and then it translates or it's some like English prayer of like, oh God, I am just a humble idiot and I'm so stupid. Please, could you spare just a speck of truth? And that is not the kind of stuff that you want to be doing. You want to be doing these mantras that are just about the vibration causes a spiritual change in you, and it is not some man trying to impose his will on these sound vibrations, right? You can absolutely do those types of like prayers and make your own mantras in that way that are specific to you, but I do not think it is helpful to be doing these things written by other people that are so specific, asking for these specific things. When you have the bija mantras and seed sounds that will achieve all of those things because they are vibrations that connect to certain chakras and points in the mind, and you giving those vibrations to yourself through uh, mantra aloud will help you get to these states and achieve these things without purely begging and being like, please, God, please. So, I really forgot to make that a huge part of this, but that I really am such a proponent of mantra and of doing the proper chants and doing chants properly. Because a lot of people don't know that with chants and even with the bija mantras and with the even like the Rosicrucian sounds, Rosicrucian chants, what I learned from the Rosicrucians that has helped me in my Sanskrit chants and stuff is the fact that every chant, every mantra, seed sound, relates to a chakra. Every chakra has a particular note that if the mantra is performed at that particular note, it will have the absolute most high healing powers if done properly. The right mantra to the right chakra to the right note. A lot of people don't know about the notes. They always see people with their singing bowls and stuff, but it's like, well, why is this singing bowl the heart bowl? It's because the nature of that vibration that this particular bowl has causes the heart to vibrate in a positive way. you can achieve the same things with your own voice. In fact, you will get amazingly better healing power and faster results if you are the one causing the sound to happen. Singing bowls are not a bad thing, but really they should be to help you tune your voice, not to sit there and rub a bowl all day. You feel me? All right. So, bija mantras and seed sounds, I highly recommend, maybe I can pull it up right now while I'm talking, the Mantra Yoga, uh, yeah, Mantra Yoga and Primal Sound. This is the book of books. Actually, I guess I do. I actually have some bookmarks, so you guys got lucky. Hold on, let me hop in right quick. Um, Second, the effect of a mantra depends on how its sound is made. The same sound can be made with more or less force, intensity, velocity, or prana, which naturally will alter its energy, meaning, and impact. Different tones come into play here, and how the mantra is aligned with the breath. This is like the life force of the mantra. If our prana is disturbed, our speech and mantra will be disturbed. If our prana is calm, then our speech and mantra will be calm. For example, the mantra Lam indicates the earth element with its density, inertia, and calm and delight, but also has some watery and nourishing qualities. Applied with harshness, tamas, and force, rajas, the mantra can literally be used to crush things into the ground with the power of a stone. Applied with softness, sattva, grace and beauty, it can be used to dance lightly, slowly, rhythmically on the ground, releasing the joy inherent in all creation. We're just going to read through my bookmarks and stuff really quick. I've got some cool stuff. So, empowering mantras with substance. An important way to energize the mantras is through the five elements of nature, particularly through water and fire. Mantras chanted in water gain more power. I'm going to say that again. Mantras chanted in water gain more power. For example, while bathing or while standing in a river or in the ocean. Mantras can be used to purify or energize water. Pause. This is where praying over your food comes from. Again, it does not have to be, oh God, please, we are but idiots that need you for everything. And absolutely, you can praise God and be like, thank you for being the creator of all and all this stuff. But that is not the original science that those prayers were based on. The original science that those prayers were based on is the absolute most basic good vibes from you will put good vibes in other things. And in this case, that thing is your water and food. And these vibrations are seed sounds and mantras, where again, we are giving the absolute most healing vibrations based on what this sound vibration gives as far as healing and higher consciousness, not what these words mean. You feel me? Okay. So, just like, so I say that to say, if you are like so anti-Christian, you don't like praying over food and all that kind of stuff, but you're like, oh, I kind of like the science behind this. You can chant Om 3 times over your food. The absolute same thing will happen. In fact, you might have even better effects because you aren't imposing all of your human thoughts and will and these ever-changing words onto it. You are just putting the absolute good vibration onto this. And you can, this has been proven through great scientific test with, what's his name, Dr. Emoto, the water scientist out of Japan. And I'll tell you that in the most high psychedelic meditative states, if done properly, you can literally, what I've done is you melt some sugar into water, making like a simple syrup. And while after the sugar has fully dissolved in the water, you can do bija mantras and chants, and then with your own eyes, you will see the Dr. Emoto experiment, where you will see these sacred geometries appear in the water based on the vibrations coming out of you. And you will see less good and very crazy, chaotic looking patterns pop up when you are not properly doing the vibration or you are not, giving a mantra. Okay, so This, I don't know why I bookmarked this. I probably meant to bookmark something else. Okay, yeah. So here's a good one, especially when you're doing Sanskrit chants, and I highly recommend Sanskrit chants, even if you have or you're connected to something where you're like, we have our own chants. Do all the chants because these all essentially came from the same place in the beginning. And I know from having done Rosicrucian chants before I got into the straight up Sanskrit chants that a lot of these are so overlapped in the same thing. Like in Rosicrucianism, you do the chant is aim, and you do aim. I think at what is it? No, aim. I think B. B is the note of aim, and in Rosicrucian you just go aim right at B, but and it's spelled the same way, AIM, right? But I know from having deep dive into this book and Hinduism that aim, the long I sound, is actually E. It's not I. So these Rosicrucians who have claimed this knowledge for their own and therefore will not understand where certain words came from and will want to understand them as Western instead of Eastern, they will always be pronouncing this chant wrong as aim and not as aim. The proper one is aim because they do not understand that the I there is from Sanskrit and therefore is the long E sound, as in need and keep. And you will find that you can see there's also bija mantra clean. There's uh, Hreem, Shreem, Clean. Oftentimes, these are spelled with double E's, but aim will be spelled with an I. And if you don't know Sanskrit, you won't understand that this is just over time people not understanding languages, where you could actually spell all of these the same, and often you will see Hreem, Shreem, Clean spelled with the one I, like in aim. So there's also other bija mantras, hum, lum, and bum, and those are also great sounds that are often I'm trying to find the part but yeah, they're often with spelled with an A, so LAM BAM LHAM, but really those are hum bum lum because of the way the A sounds in Sanskrit. So the long A sound in Sanskrit is actually pronounced like a U. So that is like with the book I was showing you, Patanjali. It's spelled like Patanjali, but it is Putanjali. So having enough information to pronounce these mantras properly is very important. And if you have achieved a certain stage in mantra chanting, you will notice that when you chant them properly, you do feel it. Uh, Unfortunately, I did not properly prepare the mantras, but hold on. But yeah, so Hreem, Shreem, Clean are great mantras that can connect to the divine feminine. But just because they do connect to the divine feminine does not mean that they are not doing other great things. But it is these are bija mantras that are very much connected to the giving creative force in alignment with more femininity. And then the lum bum hum, those are also bija mantras that I think are great and are talked about in this book and are very, very powerful. But I don't have as much academic information to give you on those. But I would say, just based on what I'm saying, go look those up. And then there's also Ram. Look up, like if you type in Lam or Lum Bum Hum and Hreem Shreem Kleem, those will take you to websites with people that understand bija mantra and seed sounds. But also, this book, great on this stuff. But there are also great websites that have all of these sounds and stuff. But the websites do have a little less of an understanding about well, some of them, obviously not all of them, than this book does. Where some of them will be like, this is like I was saying, it's more of like a divine feminine energy that you're calling in to do work in your life, and not an entity, just like an energy that changes things. Whereas on the websites, they'll be like, oh yes, this chant is uh, the chant of like Krishna's wife, and this, and you calling the wives to do this, and like, just know that these are stories that people have put onto these sounds because all people always assume everybody is stupid, or they don't want people to have the information, so they'll either talk to them so much like an idiot that they okay, so this is just the last part of the video where, not to get this guy in a weird position, but so this is one of the last things that I've recently fallen upon, and I haven't gotten to take up this practice yet, but maybe I'll try some in a little bit right after I get off of this video and upload it. This is a new thing that, well, I'm sure people have been doing this forever, but it's new to me. And basically, the concept is that drawing secret geometry will open your mind up to new dimensions of space and time, therefore, opening up parts of the mind where it seems like you have new abilities and all that kind of stuff. So the same way that people are achieving these things through meditation and stuff, there are some people now saying that they have been able to achieve heightened consciousness and open up dimensions of their mind through just drawing different sacred geometries and building a relationship where they kind of get into a meditative state drawing these geometries, and they say, you know what? I'll let this guy explain. But my thing is that, like all these other things I said, and like I said, do it all at once. Do it all in the pyramid while you're drawing on acid and having sex. Do the whole thing. I think that this is another one of those things that should be incorporated. And one of the reasons that I talk about all of these practices as one is not just because like I want to do them all at once and because I think everybody should do them all at once. It's because I think that these tools are how we build the next generation, or bring back the old generation of true spiritual powwows. These are the things that we should be coming together to do all at once together and achieve the absolute most high supreme states. So I'll let this guy talk a little bit.
Some very powerful information for you all today. And today I'm going to talk about using sacred geometry to alter and expand and evolve your consciousness and your mind. So in this video, I'm going to tell you what sacred geometry is, what it does to the mind, and how you can use it to balance out the mind and evolve your consciousness. And also, I'm going to give you some more kind of esoteric explanations as to what this is pointing us to. What is sacred geometry saying to us? So, what is sacred geometry? Sacred geometry is kind of these a universal language of the cosmos, of life, if you will. And it is a form of geometry that uses very specific ratios and patterns that are found in life. And it's mostly based off of fractals. So it seems to me that we live in a fractal universe, which means that...
Pause. Just wanted to say, for my Aboriginal people with our, beautiful, beautiful hair textures in the most curly of states, did you know that your hair curls according to the golden ratio found in nature? That same spiral in your hair is the same spiral in a seashell, the same spiral in the spiral aloe vera, the same spiral that you will see in the Milky Way galaxy. You are connected to this planet intrinsically. You are supposed to be here. And these abilities are absolutely for you to unlock because they are as much of a part of nature as you are.
The way life and matter replicates itself in the physical dimension is through patterns of self-similarity, which are called fractals. So to give you guys an example, let me spin you over to my tree here. The tree, right? So this, let's see if you can see it, yeah. Okay, so here's a tree, right? The leaves on the tree is a fractal of this branch. This branch is a fractal of this trunk, okay, which is a fractal that is born within the seed of the plant, okay? So what that means is that every part of that tree grows within the parameters of a very specific ratio, which is called the golden ratio, excuse me. And this is very, very common information nowadays, which is really cool. So you can look up all that stuff if you're more interested. But I'm really talking to people who are kind of already in this world and familiar with the topics I'm talking about. So just as kind of like a teaser, I do want to give this information to you now so you're more apt to actually watch the video through, because it really is, in my opinion, extremely special, potent, powerful. So sacred geometry, literally, like drawing sacred geometry or looking at sacred geometry, meditating upon it, balances the left and right hemispheres of the brain. It does this through many mechanisms. One mechanism is through the actual curving and line formation of the Cartesian plane within the geometry. So all straight lines, like a triangle or a square, those are masculine lines. That's like the left logical brain, which is very much straight, to the point, logical, linear, right? Linear, like a line. That's what the word linear is derived from, line. So that is the masculine. And the feminine is the curved, flowing, circular, spiraling movement. This is the balance of the Shiva and Shakti energies of the Indian system. So by drawing these structures, you're literally subconsciously cueing your mind to use both the left and right hemispheres of the brain simultaneously. So you're firing and wiring them together, which strengthens the corpus callosum, which is the part of the brain that connects the left and right hemisphere, right? So this balances out the mind, and in turn can balance out our masculine and feminine energies within us, those archetypes, those energetic patterns that we have within us. So through this balancing, we can actually open our channel up to higher consciousness and also be more centered and embodied and here and balanced in our being, okay, in our physical being. And what's really special, again, about sacred geometry is as you draw it, you'll see that it's very natural. The structure kind of just almost draws itself over time as you get used to it. And the reason why this is so, why are they these very specific, self-similar fractal patterns, is because you can think of geometry as frozen sound. So if people who are watching this, you're probably familiar with the field of cymatics. If you're not, I'll probably post a link to some cymatic videos, but cymatics is essentially was discovered by a man who took a metal plate and put some sand on it and rubbed a violin string against the plate. And the frequency that the string made, the note that was played, made a specific geometric pattern, an ordered pattern in the sand. So notes are frequencies, and frequencies have geometries, have shapes. So you can think of geometry as frozen sound. It has a resonance. Sound has a resonance that can change our consciousness, right? Because I personally have had experiences of listening to, for example, the 528 hertz frequencies and some of the other solfeggio frequencies, which are standing waves. They're
Human
standing
resonance is a great one too.
patterns, but you can listen to them in the form of sound. Sound.
But yeah, other than sorry to pause again, but other than like DJ Wolf and like you said, the solfeggio frequencies, the Schumann resonance, and all that other stuff is great. So look into those things too if you want to listen to like just some pure good tones instead of music. But the music is great too, so you can just have it in the background. I'm gonna play a little bit more of this and then wrap it up. While I'm paused, I just want to say, I uh, as we are in the time of the crystal, crystals are actually very great as well. I wouldn't necessarily believe everything in those little crystal books about them, like, oh, this one helps with this and that one helps with that. But as far as like the crystalline structure, if something is a genuine crystal, absolutely it can help you bust those chakras open, especially your third eye, by doing your normal meditations and the practices that we've talked about on here, and just have the crystal on you or have it on your third eye while you're meditating. I also, in my website, in my book that I'm writing, I have some great experiences that I can tell you about healing where like I've gone to mines here in California and just like been able to dig a ton of crystals out myself, just because we have like California is a beautiful, great place. And I've had like 20-pound bags of crystals where I'll just sit a whole bag on my lap and some under my head, and whoa, like you can absolutely just feel your body vibrating and like calcification and stuff sliding away and bringing you just a new frame of mind. So very powerful stuff, but again, it's not just put it in your pocket and ignore it kind of stuff. You have to be active and intentional about these things for them to work. So yeah, I'm gonna get back to this and then we're wrapping up the video. Thank you so much for even getting this far. Sorry for being so unorganized, but in my unorganization, I have given so many great tools. And just to go over them one more time before I start the video and then wrap it up, we have got our true pranayama yoga meditation. We have uh, our sexual energy cultivation. We have drawing these geometries, and we have experiencing the psychedelic state and doing all of these things while in the psychedelic state. And we have, last but not least, uh, I have no idea. I didn't do a good job of making that list. But you were here. You understood. I hate to be the worst host, but basically the entire video is about putting all of these different practices into one ritual community practice. Something that we can do as a community. Absolutely do this on your own, and this should be a solo practice that you do alone. But once we are having these events open to everybody where people aren't being homophobic, colorist, racist, and all this other shit that can be involved in one community or multiples, once we are just here for the absolute love of oneness and can participate in these things as one together as a community, that is when we will start having the true culture building experiences that great civilizations thrive on. But also, it will immediately give back to our Aboriginal community what was lost. This is the old religion. It is not a certain belief in one person or one God. It is a lifestyle of how you interact with the universe to best achieve the best outcomes.
And geometry are very interconnected. Okay? And that, when I was meditating and listening to that sound, it actually altered my consciousness to the point where um, I was beginning to have the beginning symptoms of an out of body experience. I know it's an out of body experience now because have had them. So I realized that I was experiencing was the beginning of a projection of my consciousness, also called astral projection. And the sound changed my consciousness and expanded it and enabled it to do that. So again, you can think of geometry as frozen sound. It has that resonance, but instead of a auditory resonance, it is a visual resonance. So what I have found is that in the short time I've spent of really going deep into drawing these patterns, sometimes I'll lay down and go to bed and close my eyes and I'll see them. They'll just pop up in my mind's eye, my third eye, right? And those patterns have a resonance that acts on the subconscious mind. So this is working on many, many levels. It's working on the conscious level of the left and right hemisphere. It's working on the subconscious level. It's working on you on a resonant level, an energetic frequency-based level. So let's get into it. Let's draw something. Okay, so we're going to draw some sacred geometry here. I'm going to show you guys some stuff, some fractalized patterns. Bear with me, it's my first time filming a video in this manner. So what you will need is a compass, all right? A pencil, I'm using mechanical, you can use whatever, regular pencil. A ruler, so you can measure. These are just some other straight edges that I'm going to be using.
Okay. Let me skip a little just so maybe you can kind of see. Oh, this book is a great. I haven't read it yet, but it is in the community. A great book that will help you understand like the relation between geometry and sound and math and all that stuff. Weird. I got it on Kindle, but it won't pop up on my Kindle. I have to read it on my Fire, which is like luckily I even have one, but they literally sold this book to me on Kindle without being able to open it on Kindle. So I, look into that. Maybe you just actually get the book or download the ebook from somewhere else. But great book that has everything he's talking about and more. And let's see if I can just skip to him drawing the geometry. And we're going to wrap this video up. Thank you so much for participating. Hopefully, some people watch this and I can make some more. Or, we can just meditate and have a little community together.
In a circle, all right?
Yeah, I'm going to have to get one of those things.
What I'm going to show you today is the star. We're going to use like a Merkaba Star of David and show you how geometry is fractalized. Because fractals, again, as I showed you the tree earlier, is how matter manifests in the physical world, okay? And it's very interesting. I'll go deep. So first, before I start explaining, a quick way to draw the Star of David, I'm just going to go to my top point and give myself two little lines here in my circle. Same thing, go to the center of the bottom half of the semicircle. Boom, two more lines here. And these are my reference points. So now I know I could draw a nice equilateral triangle. So I'll take my straight edge and just where it crosses, where that X is, that's where my lines are going to be. So I'll show you what I mean by that. And what I personally, something I've been realizing, subroom as my bottom line for the ascending triangle. So this is the masculine shape within the feminine circle. So I'm balancing the left and right hemispheres. It shows you how infinity, the infinite, can be embodied in finite form. So it shows you how spirit, which is infinite, manifests in the finite physical universe. Okay? So look, now you remember before we just had a circle with a triangle, right? I actually drew drew the ascending triangle first. Doesn't matter, but
Okay, well, I'm going to stop it right here. Thank you so much for joining me on this. If you liked it, please give it a like and a comment. And, if people like it, I will be back for more. I am so happy to give this information to my people, the people who are willing to hear it, and the people who are down and willing to practice it. If you do this kind of stuff and you're having experiences, let me know. I love talking about this stuff. I have tons of stuff on my website about my psychedelic and meditative experiences, as well as how you can do similar things. Uh, the goal, like I said, is fully spiritual psychedelic powwows again, bringing the community back to the original practice. I refuse to call it a religion. It is a way of life, people. So, goodbye for now. This was great. Hawa, and I'll see you later.